Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. So I think there's a lot to absorb currently with the whole TFL situation, the Luna situation, and the Do Kwon situation that is unfolding in the background. And I'm seeing this in a rather different light to most people. I'm looking way further down the line, the final outcomes of what could happen from this. So just before we get onto that, the Fear and Greed Index is still sitting at greed. This is brilliant because BTC has made an impulse move straight up to around 30k and it's now tracking sideways. If we look at the chart, you can see that you've got an ascension, you've got tracking sideways, pole, flag, currently printing the flag. Hopefully we track sideways, possibly come down a little bit for a retest and then continue to move upwards. It just seems like the right time. These bull runs don't just happen. They happen over a course of months, over a specific course of time where it doesn't just happen. It goes up in ascensions like this, and a lot of people will sell out very much at the beginning of this and not knowing it's the actual bull run. So it's always that kind of situation, isn't it, where no one's got a crystal ball and everybody is more or less catching a falling knife in this position. So let's move over to this news article, which states that South Korean prosecutors are to freeze around 5.36 million US dollars. Okay, this is a serious amount of money, especially considering that TFL don't charge the community in the same way that our dev team charges us. They are self-funded. They've got a lot of they had a lot of money until all of this happened. So you get where this is going. They've got a lot of assets, and the thing is right now is Luna is without its leader. It was already without its leader for some time, and it was more or less this thing where the Luna community was forced into it. They had no choice. It was their only option to more or less get some money back from the whole situation. They received an airdrop. Now, if we look at this in a different light, and this is the kind of light I'm seeing it from, this is why I'm bullish on LUNC for the future. If this all goes the way I think it's going to go, it's likely going to lead to Luna, the blockchain, just simply not being able to run. No one being there to see out Alliance. A lot of the people working for TFL are likely to get handed some kind of similar court order that SBF has been given, where they're restricted from what they can do. This has already been spoken about. So what I'm thinking is, further on down the line, it's going to be a situation where this thing is dragged through the mud for some time. And we need to remember that this just doesn't actually affect us in any way, shape or form. It really doesn't. There's not been one mention of LUNC. These people are not stupid. If anyone thinks that they are stupid, you're kidding yourself, because they're seriously not. Everything they do is very calculated. I'm sure they would have mentioned LUNC at some point in there. Now, if we think about a total collapse of Luna as it stands as a blockchain, right? Where are all of those people going to go? Well, the likelihood is they're all going to come back to LUNC. They've all got validators nodes. They understand the technology. It's pretty much just a replication of what they're using anyway. Oh, and guess what? They're part of the old guard. So this could force a hand very further on down the line, as to which there's just no liquidity on Luna. There's no reason to validate the blockchain whatsoever. And we've got this juicy community pool. We've got this juicy Oracle rewards pool. We've got this huge supply that we need something to do with. And that's what a lot of people underestimate about having a large supply. In our situation right now, as it stands, if we had a very small supply and it had crashed, it would be so much harder for us to get it back up on its feet, because there was such a vast supply. So many people bought a bag of LUNC just during the crash and after that. Now, if we look at the charts for LUNC, and this is why I feel so... Everything currently with the L1 team making all of the correct changes, you've seen this AI chain removed, you've seen Ziggy being removed, you've made the correct changes. We're seeing what we want to see. Well, I am anyway. And if we look at the chart, like I was saying, if we flick it onto a daily, we are pretty much at our bottom here. We've been down here, you know, you could call it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th time coming down here. And it seems this is the level where we have very strong support. We seem to teeter around this area. We go below it, we come back up, we go below it, we come back up. And we've been doing this for some time now. When you look at these daily charts, they can tell you so much more about the crypto that you're invested in and trying to see where you are, because there's two sides to this story. There's those who are already invested, like myself, maybe like you who's listening right now. And for us, this is not great. Okay, we want to see it move up. But for people that are wanting to get into something, this is perfect for them. This is the bottom according to the chart. This is where the most support we've had, and we seem to bounce off of it. With Bitcoin moving up to 30k, the banking sector is in absolute ruins, and they're doing their utmost best to keep a wraps on it, keep it out of the media, and keep the limelight on crypto. But all they're doing at the moment is pretty much removing all of the bad actors from crypto and leaving an environment that's needing to flourish, needing to self-regulate itself. And this whole idea of us self-regulating ourselves is so important. In LUNC, we are in the DeFi sector. This is the sector they are most interested in. So I do believe that at some point, USTC is going to come into some kind of regulatory issue, some kind of legal issues. It is tied into Luna because that was what caused the crash. That is what they're most interested in. So if they're seizing, and this is us thinking once again in the future, if they seize these assets, they're not just going to keep them. Okay, they're probably going to pay people back who lost out during the crash. They're going to reimburse people. This is even better for the crypto community because all of those people that get their money back, the wound's already healed at this point. They've taken the loss, they've taken the hit, and they're probably back into crypto already and they've made gains somewhere else. The likelihood is that money's going to get injected straight back into cryptocurrency. This is exactly what we want to see. I don't think there could be a better outcome from them seizing his funds. And this is why I keep thinking to myself, Luna as a blockchain is definitely going to come into some sort of liquidity issues unless everybody decides to themselves they want to run that blockchain over there at a cost to themselves. But we just don't see those kind of things with the validator set. We all know how expensive it can be to run a node as it is. And it still baffles me why a lot of nodes run during that time when it was supposed to have been non-profitable for them. Well, that was a huge lie. Turns out all of them were mostly in profit. They were receiving huge amounts of coins. And because they're old guard, a lot of them have got huge companies. For example, Thorchain. They run multiple nodes across multiple networks. Same for like PFC nodes. People like that, they've got servers. It's their business, it's their company, it's what they do. So it kind of pays off for them. So I get where that's coming from. But for myself, looking way forward to the future, it just seems like Duquan is done, finished. He's going to be in Montenegro for at least 8 more months, I've been told. As to his extradition, who knows? Who knows where he will end up going? But wherever he does end up going, either South Korea or to the United States, it's not going to end well for him. Hopefully we see these assets that are being seized and all of the properties that they've been seizing. Hopefully we see those assets liquidated if they need liquidating. And like I was saying, paying back USTC holders, making them whole. And then possibly the likelihood is they would make USTC disappear. That's like one of my worst horrors, is like us putting in tons and tons and tons of work. Duncan putting in all this work into his dream. For the SEC, or I think they're called the Ghost Squad or something like that. I don't know. The South Korean prosecutors take it all away, shut it down. LUNC is like, we're our own blockchain, right? They would need to seize the Oracle rewards pool. They would need to seize the community pool. They would need to shut down all the validators. Luna doesn't have the benefit of having a huge community pool or Oracle rewards pool. In fact, they spent a lot of their community pool doing the Alliance module, from what I was made aware. So there's all these different questions that come into play, but in the back of my mind, I feel good about LUNC at the moment. especially compared to how I felt last week. We felt lost in a sense that even with all the Twitter spaces, even with all of the different outcomes, it never got anywhere, and there was never like a clear outlining of like what was supposed to happen after the space, what was supposed to be written up, the changes. And it just felt so easy to have that mature podcast, a mature conversation, get the points across without shouting at each other, hear each other's points, them hear the other side hear their side, so on, so forth. If this new proposal goes through, okay, yes, there's going to be some changes that need to be made, some things that need to be addressing, especially the developers situation. But I for one, okay, I'm happy with the changes that have been made, and I'm willing to see the team move forward, because there's so much more respect to be gained from a group of people that are leading our blockchain, taking responsibility for their mess ups and saying, you know, we did do these things wrong, and we are going to change. We are going to take a look at ourselves in the mirror and come back with a better attitude, and we're seeing that. So hopefully in the perfect world it goes through. I don't want to be sat here for another 50 days whilst people back and forth about what developers doing what and all of this. Everything seems clear in that. It's going to be an open highway. We're going to have to suggest things as a community, and I think it's about time we started getting lists together of what we would like to see next from the L1 dev team, what we'd like to see from the L2 dev team. We definitely need a marketing team. That was definitely spoken about in the podcast. So these are all things to think about. The situation with Binance, that's done, dusted. Super bullish on this because of the sheer fact that that burning's not going to stop, regardless of what people think. They wouldn't have done all of the work to whitelist all of those wallets, change all of the LUNC, USTC wallets and Luna wallets across the whole blockchain, change the BEC32 for them to pull out half a year later. They've probably just spent 100k upwards in staff time doing all of that on their side. There's lines that have been crossed. We've been pushed back off of that line. They've drawn a new line in the sand, and then they've put safety netting in front of it. So we can't even cross the line if we want to. Even if someone turns reminting back on and we're reminting burnt coins again, Binance's coins aren't going to get reminted. This secures Binance's burns for the indefinite future. This means LUNC, regardless of what everybody's doing, regardless of the bickering, the arguing, projects getting hacked and liquidity getting stolen, we're still going to have them burns from Binance, and nobody else has this in the crypto sector. And these are all things to be bullish on. Yes, there's negatives. There's always going to be negatives. There's always going to be things we don't agree on. But as a community, we have a responsibility to ensure that we are treating those that are running the blockchain in a manner that we wish to be treated ourselves. This is so important. You wouldn't, speak to people the way some people posting pictures, and this is where it gets personal, of like editing a picture together of another person with like a clown mask on. It's like, is this what it's come to? Let's move forward. Let's look at the good things. Let's take the wins where we can. We can't win everything. There has to be a middle ground. Folks, I hope you got some good information from this. I hope this gives you a little bit of insight into how I'm feeling, how I'm thinking about the situation now, and hopefully gets your day off to a better start if it hadn't started great already. And just stay safe, beware of scammers, beware of doppelgangers, beware of anybody pretending to be me. Stay aware, stay humble, stay safe, and I will catch you in the next one.